This is a virtual support session, and thank you for joining again. We are going to ask, as we go through this presentation, please enter questions that you have in the chat so that we can address those at the end. We want to make sure we go through all of the pieces that we have, and then spend the last portion of our session answering any questions you may have. All right, so hopefully all of you were able to log in to Maneuver in the Middle. If you had difficulty in logging in, I'm going to kind of go through that in a little bit. So I ask that you please be patient. The screens that we're going to share today are the screens that my applied teachers are going to see. So all of my algebra teachers, anyone that's teaching an Algebra 1 course, has access to this Algebra 1 TEKS Align math curriculum, which is this first yellow bar that we have. And then my applied teachers have an additional resource that is with intervention. So the maneuvering math with intervention is for my applied teachers only. And that has some off grade level resources that will help build the skills for success in Algebra 1. These resources can be used in multiple ways. We do have most of the material that can be used in the Algebra 1 course. Some of the material you can save for intervention, and then the others for the EOC review. And so because we obtained this resource somewhat late in the year, we have an overabundance of material so that you can pick and choose to, as your PLC, decide what is it that you're going to use or implement in the Algebra 1 class? What are you going to implement in your interventions? That could be your SLIM course. That could be where students are trying to recuperate their credit from Algebra 1 with reteach or retest opportunities. And then some of the material can be used for EOC. And so as a POC, you can decide what pieces you will use for which particular groups that you support at your campus. However, this is a big however. I need you guys to understand that due to the copyright of the material, only teachers with an active license are allowed to access the resources. Because of that, we ask that you please do not place a copy in the shared drive for those without a license to access. So for instance, if you have someone that's working with retesters in the EOC Blitz, we're going to ask that you not make a copy of the material and place it in a folder for the teachers that don't teach Algebra 1 but do support those retesters. They shouldn't be accessing this material. This is copyrighted material. Also, what we can do is, because we reached out to the vendor and wanted to make sure that the materials that we have here, because as you'll see in a little bit, some of it involves using Google Forms where we use Schoology. And so we reached out to the vendor and they said that we can edit the materials that we have and import either the quiz or the test questions into Schoology instead of those Google Forms. And this can be done simply because students are required to log in. We cannot, however, edit these materials or place them in a platform that's open for anyone to access, such as the wiser.me or the quizzes. So we can't do those particular pieces. So what is provided in this resource? And so I'm going to go ahead and kind of get started with that. Let me see if I can. The girls are going to put some of their pieces as they walk through, and it's going to be in our high school math professional development. It's the one that says I love math. And so all of you should be members of that. If you do not have access to this in your Schoology course, it's a course, not a group, then just send a message in the chat so that when the girls get to that part, you are a member of that particular group. So for those of you that have not been able to log in or to see if your account has been active, I know some teachers have reached out that they didn't get that welcome email. And so when you click on the Maneuvering the Middle login page, you can click here on Forgot the Password, and then your username is going to be the same as your email address, your NISD email, to include the @nisd.net. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in our chat just in case you guys do not have access. You can click the link there and that'll take you to this login page. Hopefully I typed my credentials in correctly so that I can go through these particular pieces. All right, so here we go. With my Maneuvering the Middle with intervention, I wanted just to kind of touch base with what this particular resource has. And so it does have skills like the numerical representations, the number and operations. These particular skills will lead to success in Algebra 1, but they are off grade level. And so when you click here, it does have, when I scroll down, it has the standards and reference guide that you can see. And with these pieces, sorry, I'm going to scroll, it'll give you what the topic is, and then the levels. These levels are color coded, and so there'll be 3 different colors so that the teacher can distinguish what level they are. And then it gives you, are they 6th grade, 7th grade, or 8th grade standards for those activities. And so that is what my intervention has as well, so that you can use it with the applied students. Everything else that they have here are going to be on the Algebra 1 course, and that's the one we want to touch base with. So in this Algebra 1 TEKS Aligned, we have 2 welcome videos. If you want, you can watch those videos, but we kind of watched them and then we wanted to walk you through what the high school pieces have. And so the first one is the scope and sequence. And in this scope and sequence, it will give you a table of contents of what it is that's in this particular resource for Maneuvering the Middle. And so it goes through the little binder pieces because they do encourage for these downloadable materials that you can go ahead and print them out and put them in a binder. And so they give you some of those binder organization pieces. But this table of contents will tell you what the standard is. So in this A2A, which is domain and range of linear functions, then it tells you what unit you can find it in and what the name of that activity is. And so it already has these aligned for the entire Algebra 1 material. Then it has this activity calendar. And on this activity calendar, as I mentioned, there are a lot of activities and material that's involved with this resource. And so the activity calendars, I'm going to kind of go a little, here we go, a little quickly there. It kind of identifies, so this activity, simplifying expressions maze, it identifies where you as a teacher can implement it if you're choosing to use it. And so each of the units, as Rosa will kind of explore the polynomials unit for Algebra 1, it does give you where the notes are, where the homework is, where the notes are, where the homework is. But then in the bold pieces, it kind of has, if you choose to use the activity, this is where the vendor kind of recommends that the activity take place. Again, you could either use it or save an activity for an intervention group, a small group, where you're trying to read, teach, or do small group instruction with your students, or you can save it for your EOC review. As a PLC, you can make those decisions. But that is what the activity calendar has. And then the TEKS alignment, it just kind of gives you what the standards are and then how they are also aligned with the Common Core. But that's not something that we wanted to touch base with. Then in the additional resources, they have these I can statements. And so the I can statements, everything down there with the yellow are downloadable resources. So you can download and print them out. But some of your some of your campuses require that you put these I can statements and put them up for students so that they can see what it is that you're covering. And so that's what these are. I think I enlarged it too much. So these I can statements belong to the equations and inequalities unit, but they have the ones for the entire course in here. So you just have to kind of find what you need. And so they give you what you can print out and post as you change from one lesson to the other. And so they're already made for you there. They also have the I can statements as a template. And so if you click that, though, you can download that. That is in a PowerPoint, so that if you wanted to change the verbiage or create your own I can statements, it gives you the template to do so. Then it has some warm-ups. It gives you the instructions on how you can use your warm-ups with your students. And there you have several ways that you can use them. You can use them either as printable, you can use them as digital because they provide it as a PowerPoint, which then you can import into Google Slides when you drop it into Drive. And then it also gives you the answers in there. But in the warm-up, it kind of goes through, it gives you the warm-up number, what standards they cover, and then the topic that it has. And then the last column is where the teacher can check off. So this one would be something, a teacher page that you would check off. I've already used this one so that you don't double up on it later at some point. And so it gives you what those warm-ups are. And it shows you how you can make a copy if you're choosing to use the digital format of it. And so this is what the math warm-ups look like. Because we obtained this resource mid-year, we obviously don't want you to start at warm-up number 1. And so as a POC, kind of decide where do we start with our warm-ups if this is something that we're going to implement into our classroom. But it gives you this warm-up instructions in there. And then it gives you the presentation warm-ups, and I've already downloaded that because it was taking a while to open up. So here's my PowerPoint. Okay, well, I'll go through the printable ones first, and then I'll come back to the PowerPoint. But for the printable warm-ups, if you wanted to print for your students, then it gives you these where you can do the half pages, and the numbers here at the top tell you what warm-up they correspond to on the document I just showed you. It shows the standards that are being covered, and it shows the topics that are being covered with each warm-up. And so this is something that the students can use. And this is what the digital one looks like. So that for the digital one, the warm-up number is on the top left instead of the top right. And so it gives you the same questions, but it's just in a digital format. Sometimes maybe the teacher might want to use this if they're using, like, explain everything to show it to the students how to solve each one after you give them the printable. So just, some ideas of implementation there. The activities list. So I'm going to kind of show you the activities list. This one is the back to school activity. So obviously we're not going to recommend that you're using these for this particular year because we've already passed that part. So the back to school activities can be utilized next year at the start of the school year when we need a little buffer time for students to get set in the right classes the first couple of days of school. This is something that you can use with your students. So it has some 8th grade material or middle school material that students can practice on and refresh right before they get into the Algebra 1. And so the activities that I'm going to show here in this list are followed by each different activity there. And so you guys can click on those activities to see how you can implement them in your classroom setting. But here it gives you the activities list, what the topic is, and then what the name is for that particular activity. And so that can become useful if you're wanting to use this in the classroom. And don't forget, like when we go through the other units, it doesn't tell you in the overview where that activity fits. That you will have to find in your scope and sequence when we went through that activities calendar. that's where you can find where the vendor suggests or recommends putting those particular activities. Rosa's going to go take over the screen now, and she's going to go over the pieces that they have in the exponents and polynomials, which are somewhat similar here, but most of Algebra 1 should be in that particular unit now, so we wanted to jump ahead to that one.
So just like Francis says, we're looking at the units. They're right here on the right side. We're going to unit 6, and the layout is mostly the same, just like she had shown on the additional resources. So we're on unit 6, exponents and polynomials. Here's the standards. There's your TEKS. There's the unit overview description, student handouts, printables, student notes, homework, quizzes, just telling you what's in this section. Student handouts, the keys, activities, and then this part right here, resources for use with Google Slides and Forms. There's video tutorials and support for their slides and your forms. So if you're having issues on how to save, on how to edit, click here. There's quite a bit of videos to show you how. And then you have your student handouts right here. These are in Google Slide format. So I'm gonna click on that. Everything that is on slides or forms, automatically they're asking you to make a copy. So when you make a copy, and these are all the slides, the assignment slides for this unit. They're all right here. I jumped ahead. So it's the handouts, and you have student handout. And with the handouts, you also have the homework, and they're numbered. So that was student handout 1, homework 1. We have student handout 2, homework 2, and so on. So those are there. Right here on the unit assessment, they give you 2 quizzes and a test. The quizzes are in Google form. Again, make a copy right there. And it's going. So the quizzes and the test are in Google Forms. You can look at the questions, change them up. Most of them are images. Okay. So if you find the quiz or the test, you're like, hey, it's great, it's awesome. You want to put this in your drive. First of all, I would change my title. I don't want to have a copy of it anymore. I'll take off Algebra TEKS also. If you want to do it by period, go for it. Put in the title. Also in the form, if you're going to use the same link so that all students, all classes can use the same form, I do suggest to maybe put in a period question. So I added a question. I do suggest, like I said, having a period question, and that way, when you're looking at your data, period 1, and now Google Forms knows that you want to do periods. I'm just going to do up to 5 right there. I want to make it a required answer. So now when I send off, I share this with my students. First question will be period, and then they have the first name, last name. Let me show you how to put this in your drive. Come up here next to the title. You have a little folder. And I'm just going to stick it in my drive. Okay, guys, I'm going to create a folder right here. And for right now, just for the session, I'm just going to put MTM, maneuvering the middle, check. And now I'm going to click on move here. And it is in my drive in my MTM folder. So from there, you'll be able to change it up. If I want to put the link in my Schoology, I click on send. Here's my link icon. I'm going to do a shortened URL, copy that. And then from here, I could just go to my Schoology. And like Francis says, for PD purposes, I'm using the course with the I Love Math And we have a folder right here, maneuvering middle. And I'm going to add it, and it'll be a link. Click there. Here's my link, and it was just exponents and polynomials. This one. And boom. There's my quiz. Right there. Students can sign in, go to Schoology, and start taking your quiz. Okay, so that's it. Your unit test is the same way. It's a form. Once again, asking you to make a copy. This is such teacher friendly. And there's your test, same thing. Here's your problems. Most of them are images. It's a good starting point for a test. And you could place it in your folder just like we did with the quiz. And then if you keep scrolling, you have your downloadable resources. They all start with the unit overview. And in the unit overview, once again, they tell you thank you for your purchase, the terms, and this is the great part. Here's your unit 6, exponents and polynomials. You have your standards. They give you the big ideas, essential questions. You have your vertical alignment, how it fits in with your 8th grade and your Algebra 2 sequence. You have vocabulary, and then you have the common misconceptions. And just like what was in the previous, what Francis was covering, they give you a pacing guide, but on this pacing guide, they give you so many days. You don't have to follow it. This is just their recommended. They have the unit spread out, so many days, and they have handout 1, homework 1, handout 2, homework 2. They're telling you what they suggest. And here's the overview. Some of them also give you like extra links. This is a Kia link for Exponents Battleship. And they also give you the test key and the standards that are covered per problem. So once again, that's in the overview. All right, back arrow. Here's my student handouts. So the one above it was student handouts on slides. Here's my student handouts. This is the PDF. Here's your table of contents. Gives it to you by page, by the topic, and then what the resources are provided. And here's your pacing guide once again. Your TEKS, organization. And then just like Francis says, if you want to do binders, they give you templates. Let me just scroll down. And then here you go. Here's your PDFs. Once again, student handout 1, homework 1. And it goes on. I think this one, last I checked. Oh, and it gives you the PDFs for the test and the quizzes also. And even a review. Go back, they give you the student handout keys, and here's an editable test. The editable tests do go to a PowerPoint though, okay? So these are editable, and it even gives you instructions. So here's the test. Let me zoom in. And on the videos, it'll even explain to you how you can edit the test. Math type and all. Here's your math type equation tool. Like I said, it's pretty teacher friendly. They even give you a calculator reference guide. Once again, there you go. So they have for the 84, they have the Inspire. Some of them are click sheets and some are actual videos. Okay. And then just like the first one that Francis had done, they give you an activity list. So here's my activity list. And this is just a table of contents. Here's your topics. And then here's the list of activities that go to it. They're the same ones, maze, they're titled the same. Maze, puzzle train, scavenger hunt, find it, fix it, he said, she said, task cards. And then they even give you instructions. These, if I click, these are live links, and it'll even tell you down here on the bottom, the student pages of these activities are also available in digital format. They'll give you the PDF, and sometimes they'll have the links. Some of these are slides, and some of these are in our Google Forms. So here's the maze. This one's kind of cute. Some of them have movable parts for the students on their answering. And some of them have like fill in the blank text boxes. That one was Google Slides. Oops, let me go back one. He said, she said. This is a form. And all the questions are identical to the PDFs. They don't change anything. So you decide whether you want to do slides or PDF. So that's the activity list. And right below your activity list are the activities. So for example, we looked at the maze. Here's the maze. Here's my PDF format. Gives you the TEKS, the instructions, and then here's the PDF. And along with the PDF, they give you the answer key. That was the maze. If we look at he said, she said, this is how it looks on PDF format. And again, gives you the directions, and here are the cards. Pretty cool. And I just did one more. That way you can look at the task cards. Another activity. And once again, this is where the student document would be, the student answers. And here's my answers. Teacher key. And that is what is included in each one of these units, each one of these lessons. So now I'm scrolling down to the very bottom, number 12, and it says test prep and review. This is your star review right here. So when I click on it, there's my title, gives you warm-ups, cheat sheet, class activity, and quick check. So for each one of these, let me scroll down to the bottom, each one of these lessons, units, topics is included. You get a warm-up, cheat sheet, class activity, and a quick check. And once again, here's your videos for support. I'll be honest, there's quite a bit of videos, but they're great. They're very resourceful. If you want to edit, if you want to, convert slides or PDFs to slides, the video is in there. Here are the quick checks. Now these quick checks, it's a list, same quick checks that you get in these topics right down here, except these are in Google format. So let me show you Unit 6, exponents and polynomials. I click here, make a copy, and it is in Google format, form format, okay? But if I come down here, here's my downloadable resources. I got my teacher directions, and under the teacher directions, it's just telling you, hey, here's my topics. These are the standards that are being covered. And here's a list of the activity that has been created that goes with each one of these topics. Okay. And then of course, it'll even help you out with, some instructions, how to use. And just like I said, in each one of those topics, it gives you warm-ups, cheat sheets, class activities, and quick checks. And then once again, list of your TEKS, gives you instructions on how they could implement, on how you can implement. And then here, once again, digital quick checks, the checks that were up there that I just showed you, the forms, they're right here again. Here are the links one more time. It tells you how to work, the instructions, and then it'll even give you like some kind of ideas, options on how they suggest. So you have option 1, you can do a warm-up, cheat sheet, activity, quick check. Option 2, switch it around, 3, 4 different options. And then it even gives you tips and ideas. And for those of you who do the interactive notebooks, it even tells you, if you reduce the copies by 85%, it'll fit in your composition book. It also gives you a pacing guide, gives you 3-week pacing guide and a 2-week pacing guide. And then once again, there's your title page in case you want to do it. So that was in your teacher directions. And then it breaks down into topics. So let me just show you exponents and polynomials. Here's what's included in this section. It's your TEKS, vocabulary, and then again, mistakes and misconceptions. And then here's your warm-up half sheet. It gives you 3 different versions of cheat sheets. One that's filled out completely. Version B, some of it is filled out. Students have to fill in the rest. And then the blank one with just the main items. Okay. And then it gives you the directions. This activity, this section has a scavenger hunt. It tells you how to prep, how to use. It even gives you tips, could be helpful with groups of 3 to 4. And here's the recording sheet. And along with the recording sheet, here's your activities. And then if you scroll down, there's your quick checks. And it gives you your answer keys down there on the bottom for your warm-ups, your quick checks, and your activity. And that's what's in each one of those. And then further down, it breaks it down just by teacher guides, warm-ups, cheat sheets all together, activities, and quick checks all together. And that's what's in your EOC section.
So now if we go back to the My Products page, I'm going to go through some of these digital resources that we have right down here. And I'm going to start with the All Access dashboard. It's going to take it a second to load. There is a lot of information in here. There's some videos here under the TEKS section. On Algebra 1, you can download the Google Slides. Of course, everything asks you to make a copy. And once you make a copy, of course, you can save it to your drive, but this is just a way to organize the video links, which I'm going to show you in just a moment where to find those. But this does all of the video links for all of the units and the sections all in one place. But there's a place to add notes for students. This could be a potential way to share the videos with students. But I'm going to show you another way to share on Schoology as well. But I just wanted to point that out there, that all of these links, this Algebra 1 here under the TEKS is going to be the most useful for you. I'm going to scroll all the way down here to the downloadable resources here under the All Access materials. And there's some neat things here I just wanted to point out. The Grow Your Brain door set. This is just a PDF of some things if you've got a bulletin board or want some decorations for your door. They have things in color and black and white, just some neat things. It's always nice to have things that are made you don't have to make yourself. And they were really cute. The math class slides, I thought this was really cool. Of course, it's got the directions. I'm going to go ahead and open the math class slides, timers and links. It's a slides. And of course, it's going to ask you to make a copy. And it's just some templates with some timers for you. And you can copy and paste these timers. And it even gives you some directions on how to do that. If you're wanting to copy and paste some timers into a slides that you're using in class. It also has some agenda slide templates. And of course, you can always copy and paste just that one slide from, so this whole thing is like a template. And then it's got something that if you're doing this digitally, I know some people are wanting to put things in their Schoology as well as on their board, just like what today is, reminders for today, where your bell ringer, your warm up, whatever you want to call that is, today's agenda, supplies that you're going to need. And then it's also got everything without those labels, because this is, see this here where the colors are and the text, that part's not editable because it's an image, but they were kind enough to include one without that text. So you can put your own text in, because if like here, they call it a bell ringer. I know some people prefer to call it a warm up. That way you don't have to change the way you say things in class. And then of course they have it in black and white also, if you're not fond of the colors, though I think the colors are really neat, and there's got lots of different setups here. And just some prompts for your slides. This I thought was really neat. I think this is one of my favorite parts. If you're doing station rotations and want to have this set up for students so they know what station they're going to next, kind of like a directional flow chart for students, depending on how many stations you have, you can put your students' names in here. That way they know where their station 1, station 2, station 3 is going to be. If you don't have your stations set up that are just easy for them to just rotate through. And they've got a couple of different layouts for you to use. I just thought those were kind of neat and interesting and different. There we go. So that was the math class slides. The rainbow effect, I was going to click on it and just kind of show you what it was. I'm going to open, there we go. The rainbow effect is just they call it the rainbow effect because it's colorful, but it's different ways to structure your math class and ways to, ideas on how to change up. I went ahead and went to the very bottom with their examples. That way it's a visual way to help you change up your classes, and they use the color coding that way. For example, here, this first one, I'll zoom in because I know that's a little small. Like your small group would be assessment, your computer game, that's your technology that you're incorporating, task cards that way. And it's so that you can see, oh, I'm using different parts of this rainbow. And I think that's why they call it the rainbow effect. Just something kind of interesting. But then the student progress one, and these are all in the all access, that first place that we were. Again, this is just a PDF with some things that you can print out for your students. And it's got some directions. Here we go. This is the one I was looking for. And this is kind of what it looks like for your students once you print it out. And it's got it in color and black and white. And it's just like a little table hanger. That way students have a way of asking for help without having to keep their hand up the whole time. And it's blue, sorry, not green, yellow, and red. The I'm good to go, I have a question, or I need help right now. And they have all different ways of showing this. They've got it, like I said, in black and white. They've got it in a long format that uses a whole page or a half page format. All right, and I'm going to scroll back up. Oh, no, there it is. I'm going to click back on my products. There we go. So the next piece is the video resources. And they've got some videos on using the video resources, but I'm going to go ahead and come down to the polynomials, exponents and polynomials unit, because that's what we were demonstrating with the other section. And then it's got the different activities. See here, it says student handout 1, student handout 2. So it's all of the videos for that first handout. So you've got two options here. You can preview the page or generate the link. I'm going to do preview the page first. So before you generate the link, you can go in and see what videos are available. You can click play and do a preview of the video. I'm not going to do that right now because it takes it a little time to get started. But it's got all of the videos right here. You can open it in a new tab if you want to see those videos larger, or when you're done, you can say done and then generate the link. And this is the link that you're going to copy and put into Schoology. I'm going to demonstrate that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this to the clipboard. And know that your link here will expire. Your maximum date is 30 days. So you can only have the links live for 30 days. And it will automatically go to the longest reaching day. If you want to make that link live shorter, you always can. I'm going to go ahead and say done. I'm going to go back to my Schoology page here. I'm going to add the link. I'm going to add a link here. We're going to paste our URL in. And then you can always have it display in Schoology, or if you want it to pop out to a new window, you can do that also. I'm going to click add. Go. When I click on it, I chose to have it stay in, but it's going to have all of those videos right there within Schoology. And again, this link will only be live for 30 days. All right, and then it's got all of those student handouts for that unit. And of course, the Google Slides I showed you on the first page, on that all access page, there's some examples here. Sorry, not examples, some directions here on how to put those in to that format if you're wanting to use that format so that all your videos are in one place. But remember, those links do expire in 30 days. All right, there's the back to school digital math review. That's really useful at the very beginning of the school year. So I'm not going to click on that. It's not really useful for us right now. The modeling with Algebra Tiles, I just wanted to touch on this really briefly. And this is a really great resource for teachers. For example, if we go down to our lessons now, like simplifying expressions with polynomials, because that's kind of where we were talking about. This is an example, a refresher on how to use those algebra tiles in this unit specifically. So it's a really great resource for teachers, or some ideas for examples to use with students on refreshing how to do those. And it looks like they've got like the task card here for that activity and how you can incorporate those algebra tiles into that activity. The last one, the digital resource bundle for Algebra 1. So this is the digital resources for all of the Algebra 1. Of course, it's got a lot of directions here, some videos on step-by-step directions for using those resources. But I'm going to scroll down to the exponents and polynomials unit. And they've got the digital activities, your answer keys, and exit tickets. So I'm going to go ahead, and I know that we talked about the exponents and polynomials unit, but I know this factoring trinomials digital activity is got some potential to do some really nice edits to it. So I wanted to demonstrate that one for you guys. So of course you make a copy. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my drive. I should have been adding all of these to my drive as I open them. Of course, because if you don't add it to a particular folder in your drive, it's just going to kind of float around there in your drive all loose and without a folder. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my drive, and I named a folder MTM earlier. There it is. And then once you're here, you can add folders if you don't have folders, or if you already have folders organized. And it's a good idea to organize everything in a way that makes sense to you. I know I would prefer to keep everything organized by unit, and probably by unit that we use that align to our KUDs rather than their units, because I know their unit numbering's off just a little bit because we have some of those units combined into one unit rather than two separate units. But you could also organize everything as like homework assignments, and then activities or teacher resources, whatever makes the most sense to you. But I'm going to go ahead and move this in here to the maneuvering the middle folder that I made. So it's got student instructions here. You can edit this text, but no, this part's not editable, but you can always insert, I'm going to go ahead and do it here. You can always insert a shape and cover up that 4 and fill that to match that gray. If you wanted to remove that 4, that is an option. And you can always add more. Oh, I didn't mean to scroll down yet. Here it's got the slides, and then let you know the exit ticket's going to be at the end. So for example, this activity, this part I probably wouldn't edit, but it tells you, hey, look, you can drag these over. And that's what students would be doing. These are not the correct answers. I just wanted to demonstrate. This is a click and drag for students. And then they have this slide here where it wants students to use the shape tool. I might want to go ahead and have those shapes available for students and tell students, you know what, rather than use the shape tool, just drag and drop the circle I already have for you. That way they don't have to go through and draw those circles. And you can draw a circle. I like to draw it over one of those just to make sure it kind of fills everything. Just go through, you click on the fill tool there, make it transparent. And then you can make your line a different color. You can make your line a little bolder. And then if I leave these off, you can leave them off to the side or down here at the bottom. And to copy this, it's going to have several circles. If you do right click copy, or if you do Control D, that duplicates. And then you can line those all up. I'm going to highlight them all. And I'm just going to align horizontally, center, align vertically, middle. And then they look like there's just one circle there, but when you click and drag, there's several. They're all stacked on top of one another. And then students can just click and drag, which is nice. This is another click and drag slide. And then here at the end, there's the exit ticket. Rosa talked about some of those exit tickets as Google Forms. That's hard to say. Format forms. So you can put directions here if you want students to do the exit ticket, say go back to Schoology, click on the exit ticket. You could delete this slide altogether if you're going to do your exit ticket in a different way, or edit this slide so that it has the directions that you want for your students. Now I want to show, once I have this edited, I should go ahead and let's make this, there we go. I'm going to assign this now that I've made my edits that I wanted. You know what? I don't want this slide there at all. There we go. That would probably just make that another ticket. And then I can cover this whole box up here. And I want it to be white and no line. That way I got rid of that box. It's just underneath this white box. Easy peasy. I'm going to come into Schoology and assign that to all of my students. And what I want it to do is I want it to make a copy for each student, right? Oh, there it is. It's under the assignment. Thank you, Francis. There it is. Assign as Google Drives. I don't know. Let's see, I'll name this. What was it? Factoring. Trinomials. Assign as Google Drive assignment. And if it's one of the last things that you edited, it will probably be close to the top. If not, you can always search for that assignment, that activity in your drive. Factoring trinomials was the name of that assignment. Give it a second to find it. There it is. And because I've downloaded it before and I didn't rename it, those two are going to be very similar. But I'm going to go ahead and pick this one and attach. You'll give it your due date, of course, your categories, but this will create a copy for each of your students. That way it forces a copy and then you can see all of your student responses there in Schoology. All right. Well, that is the end of the digital resources.
So if you guys have any questions, you can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can type those questions in the chat. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining.
We do have some questions in the chat. Sorry, I just saw them pop up. Do you want a minute to answer those now? Sorry.
Or ask the question and then we can.
Yeah. The first question was, can we review locating the videos again? Right here, if you go to My Products, The video resources is right down here. It's under the digital resources, the video resources. And right there, the videos are all organized by the maneuvering the middle units, but they're in the same order as our units.
That was one of my questions. I kind of said it in there, but didn't finish it because I was like, what if you need to go over the time that give you that 30 days? It's like, I need more time. Do we just go back in and get another 30 days and just keep doing it that way?
You can
Yes.
go back in and just generate the link again and then
Okay.
replace the link wherever you've placed it. So if it's
Oh,
a
you
Schoology
said
link,
30 days. I'm like,
you can go
And
edit
that's-
that link.
And that's a really good question, Lorna, just because we may assign some of these videos during our lesson now, but
Mhm.
then we also want to touch base on it during our EOC review. And so you're going to have to just regenerate and repost the link.
okay, that makes sense.
Good
Thank you.
question. And then I think there was another question. How long do we plan on maintaining these licenses?
So we only have it for the end of this year. I'm kidding. No, we don't. So we have it all the way up until the end of next year. And so these licenses are not by teacher. They are by campus. So for instance, I have Ms. Rojas over at John Jay, who is teaching Algebra 1 this year, but next year she gets assigned geometry and on-ramps. And so then I will remove Ms. Rojas from the resource and add the replacement in. And so this is, the license is set by campus. Ms. Rojas decides to leave Northside for some crazy reason, she loses access.
And then will there be additional in-depth PD for the maneuvering the middle resource?
So I guess that's a loaded question. So we would need to know, like, we can make ourselves available. I know that we are having our February 21st PD. And so since this is by level, we have several Algebra 1 rooms that can be using their maneuvering the middle. And so if you have more specific questions as you play around from now until then, and you have some of those questions, we definitely can answer. If you have questions, like you have a question that you need answered by tomorrow or by next week, then just send us a message and we can answer that. We can do very short video chats with you, either using Zoom or Google Meets, but we're here to support you and support the implementation of this product. And so we don't want it to be another thing on top of what you already have to do. We're hoping that this will help alleviate some of the stuff of having things that you create that maybe some of the videos are already done. If you happen to need to be out, you can generate the link and put it in for your students to view and then answer questions. So this is a resource of ready-made stuff that if you need, you can use them in that way too.
And then Lynn, you said you wanted to see the videos, how to access those again? Yes, is that what you mean by your chat?
Let me just unmute. Yeah, no, just keep going because like click on exponents and polynomials. Okay, where's
Okay.
like the videos? Okay, so let's say,
Oh.
I don't know, I'd like, is there a video that shows them how to factor when, I don't know, a is greater than 1 or something?
Yes, I think that's going to be in the factoring polynomials in that
Yeah.
next unit, but I know we have that together in one
So-
unit.
Scoot up. Yeah.
So that'll be probably right here in the factoring. I think that's student handout number 3, and the videos kind of go along with those handouts. So like these lessons go with this assignment, and these are the videos that go with that subsection for that unit.
But
Can
to
you
actually,
hit the preview page?
yes, that's what I want to see, to actually see the
Yes.
videos.
And then you hit preview to see the videos, and there's the videos there. So you've got video
And then-
1.
Okay, got it. That's
And
it.
you can also open in a new tab, Lynn, because
Gotcha.
for me, I'm old and blind, and so I can't see it in a window. I needed it a little bit bigger. And so when you click the open in a new tab, it'll allow you to play it from there.
Got it.
And then you can click, there's a little, like the 4 arrows for each video, and it'll full screen for that one video for you.
Cool.
And you can hit.
I'm not
proceed.
that bad, Lynn, though. I could see that screen there.
Thank you.
You're
You're
welcome.